Hey guys, Matt here from Stream & back with another video. Today we're going to be tying a MSP. So to start off with, we're going to put a Gamakatsu B10S size 4 in the vise. Like so. Make sure it's nice and secure, it's not going anywhere. Once that's done, first step is to just get our thread secured on the hook. Always make sure you get touching turns and working with a flat thread. So my thread I'm using for this fly is a 210 denier Danville's flat waxed thread. I really like it because it holds the material really well, and it's almost like sticky. So once you pull firm or pull tight, it doesn't unravel, which is really nice. So we got our thread secure. Now what we're gonna do is just secure our dumbbell eye. For this fly, I've got a 4mm dumbbell eye, a voodoo eye, and basically just get it on there, and we're gonna just figure of 8 it, just pulling tight with every turn, getting it nice and secure. There we go. Cool. As you can see, you want to leave a little bit of space in the front of the hook to finish the fly off at the end. So you don't want to tie the dumbbell eye right behind the eye of the hook. So I'm just figure of 8ing it. Very important to go under the dumbbell and then pull tight between the dumbbell and the hook shank. And then you can just play around, figure of 8, until you're happy it's nice and secure. Cool. So the next step will be to just move your thread all the way back to the end of the fly. So around there, just before it starts bending. And then we'll get our little hotspot in. So for the hotspot, you can use various materials. I really like marabou, but you can use zonker, you can use synthetic materials. But I'm just going to take a tiny bit of marabou and literally just tie it in as a small little hotspot. Like so. So just get it nice and tight. Very important with the marabou, you always want it on top of the hook shank, not twisted to one side, like so. So that's on top, there we go. Now we can just cut this excess marabou off and just neaten things up a bit. There we go. You can see as I'm tying, I'm holding the hook shank. That's just to secure it, just to make it more sturdy, so I can get nice firm wraps in. Cool, so we got our marabou hotspot in. What we're gonna do next is prep our zonker. So I'm using Fulling Mill Big Game zonker in a grizzly olive grizzly zonker. So for this, we just want to cut a triangle or a pointy tip in the tail. So that just allows it to move more naturally through the water and allows it to swim a bit better. So as you can see, I've just cut it in a little point like that. And yeah, palmering all the fibers back. I'm just going to get a length, sort of a measurement of where I want my point of my hook to go in. So we're tying quite a small MSP here, but that's probably sufficient for a tail. around there. So I'm going to mark that with this finger. What I do now is just turn the vise around, rotate it, and I've marked it with my finger. What we're going to do now is just in the center of the zonker strip, we're going to puncture it all the way through, like so. Take it off the vise, bring it around, and then put our hook back on the vise, like so. So what we have now is our piece of zonker just freely on our hook shank. What we're going to do is pommel this marabou back, get our zonker on top, and just double check length. Luckily with this we can always trim length afterwards. So yeah, so the next step is to pommel all of this zonker up, because we want to secure the zonker strip here at the back before we tie everything in towards the front. So we've got that. Just going to lift it up, bring this all the way back around there. Cool. So I've got a nice spot where I can just secure this. Just a loose wrap, another loose wrap. Holding the zonker down, I pull tight. So we'll do another one of those, tight, another one, and then pull tight. Lift that zonker over, and we just do securing wraps on the thread base. Cool. For the next step, we are going to add a bit of micro cactus, just for a bit of flash and basically to create our body. So I'm using the Textreme Micro Cactus chenille, which is really nice. We're just going to tie it in, just sort of anywhere, and then work it all the way back to about there. Just get it nice and secure, and then we can bring our thread all the way back to behind the dumbbell eyes. Cool. Now we're just going to wrap this micro cactus all the way around to behind the dumbbell eyes, just as a nice little flashy body. There we go. Three wraps behind, two in front, pull tight. Can snip that off. Awesome. So the next step is we just want to create a little underbody for this MSP. So for that I'm just using a tan dubbing. This is the Fly Fish Foods Hairline Bruiser Blend. Really love this dubbing. And what we're going to do, we're just going to take a bit of it in our hand. Just going to strip it out like so. And then what we can do, we can always just play around. We don't want it too dense. We just want quite a sparse underbody. We're just going to pinch it down and then tie it in behind the dumbbell eyes like so. Go 3 wraps and then 3 wraps behind. Cool. That's that. I like to just give it a brush just to make sure all the fibers splay out nicely, and then I know if it's too dense or too sparse. I can always change it now before carrying on, but that's good. Now we're just going to bring our thread in front of the dumbbell eyes, rotate our vise, and then tie the zonker off. So for this we just want to pommel all of the fibers back. and then we just gauge, pulling tight on the zonker, we just gauge exactly where we want to tie it off. So around about there. So I'm pinching and pulling the zonker firm, loose wrap. Before I pull tight, I'm just going to bring all my zonker to the top of the fly and then pull tight. Go twice, pull tight, twice, pull tight, there we go. Now before I cut the zonker off, I'm going to lift it and just do 2 or 3 securing wraps on the hook shank. Once that's done, we can trim this zonker off nice and flush, just neatening up the head. There we go. Now we can just neaten the head up, tying all of this in. Like so. Just trimming off any there we go. Just getting a nice neat head. So when finishing this fly, we want to make sure we're getting a nice like finished look at the end. We're going to be adding some UV resin to it, so we don't want any fibers or thread, you know, sticking out. So we just want a nice smooth finish. So for that we want a nice flat thread and just meticulously filling all the little crevices and just neatening up the fly. So that's done. Now I'm going to whip finish. So you go 1, 2, 3. Then we'll do another one. 1, 2, 3. There we go. Now we can trim that off like so. Perfect. So our fly is almost done. The only thing we need to do is just add a bit of UV resin. For this I'm just using the Golf Classic. So very important, have your UV resin with you and a pin or a needle just to spread it out and just to control the UV. So I'm just going to go very lightly, add a little drop there like so, and then just there we go. So now I'm just splaying the UV out, spreading it out, basically just covering all my thread. That just helps the fly with durability, and it just gives it a bit of a nice shiny finish, which is really nice. So yeah, once your UV is spread throughout over all the thread, you can get your UV torch and then just give it a bit of a shine, and yeah, hopefully it sets decently. With the UV, it's very important not to just add too much at one go, rather layer it. The more you add, the less durable it is, because it doesn't set as well. Cool, so that should be good. I like to leave my flies out in the sun for a bit after I've tied them. If it's a nice sunny day, just helps a bit with the UV just curing. But if you've got a really nice UV torch, should do the job. Cool. So UV's done, it's cured, and that's our fly. Little MSP, very good for largemouth yellowfish, smallmouth yellowfish. Yeah, it's a really nice all-rounder. Thank you. Cheers.